Coucou tout le monde, welcome back to my channel.
Take two.
Yeah,
or 3 year.
Coucou tout le monde, welcome back to my channel. So today I have a special guest with me. So his name is Jordan, he's American and he's living currently in France. Do you want to say a bit more about yourself?
Sure. So I've been in France now for almost 7 years. I lived in Paris for 4 years, and then now I'm living in the countryside in Limoges. So moving here, there were tons of culture shocks that I've experienced. So what are we gonna talk about today? She just get wet?
Yes, I did!
That boat was a disaster.
Yeah, it was a big wave! What the heck?
We're in the danger zone. We're at like SeaWorld right now.
Pretty much. Okay, so yeah, today we're going to talk about our culture shocks because of course I'm from France, but I did live in the US, and he's the opposite. He's from the US but he came to France, so we both have some culture shocks. So let's talk about them.
To go somewhere new.
My very first impression of Paris, it was my first time moving outside of the States, and I was so pleasantly surprised with the diversity that you have in France. So I think that especially in Paris, you have a bunch of people from different cultural backgrounds, which is really cool to see that you just have a lot of variety of different types of people, which I find super fun and
it's
cool.
so fun because you always can meet a bunch of different people and have a bunch of different conversation, which is really fun to have different perspective on different things. It's so nice, and Paris is so nice for that because you have people from everywhere, which is so cool. So I love that too. Yeah, it's really nice. One of my biggest culture shock, one of my big culture shock for sure, I talk about it in his video as well that we made on his channel, but it's the mindset in general of people. I think it's really different, and in the US people were really open and really outgoing and really positive and talkative, and like random people will talk to you in the street, like you wait in line, they were like, hey, how are you? And I was like, I don't know you, why are you talking to me? But it was really fun. I don't know if you've seen like people in France being a little less talkative and...
Well, what's like now that you're saying that, like people being friendly in line or that sort of thing, like it takes me back to like in the States we give so many compliments.
Oh
like,
yeah.
If you like someone's shirt or their shoes or something, you'll say like, oh, like I really like your shirt, like where did you get it? And in France, if you stop someone and you say like, oh, I like your shirt or whatever, like they might be like, oh, like what do you want? So I guess that would be a cultural shock for me to like if I'm being outgoing and stuff, they think I'm trying to get something from them and I'm not just being nice.
Because it's more rare, like we don't really talk to people in the street, like it's really rare when people talk to you. So yeah, it would be probably be weird, like people would be like, why is he talking to me right now?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's definitely a lot different for that. We don't really have small talk, I guess. We don't really talk to people like that in the street, and we'll not stop someone to tell them they have a nice shirt. I mean, sometime maybe I will do it because I've been to the US, but in general we don't really do that.
I mean, I would say that I've definitely changed since being here for so long, that I'm much more reserved now, and I'm less likely to talk to someone on the street that I don't know, or to like strike any sort of like conversation with someone that you don't know. And I think that I miss that about the US, and that's definitely a quality that I've adopted, but I'm not proud of it. Like the next culture shock that I experienced was the fact that we can literally walk everywhere or take public transportation. So in the States, I was so used to driving everywhere since I was 16 years old, and here it's like I don't even want a car in Paris. Like I think that it's so nice being able to get everywhere on foot or taking the bus, the metro, the RER, like all these sorts
That's
of...
what I do every day. I only walk and take the metro, and I was a culture shock too in the opposite way, because when I was in the US, like first where I was in PA, you hadn't that many buses, I guess. It's not like here where you really have them everywhere. So it was a little hard actually to get around if you didn't have a car, and I didn't have a driver license, so it was really rough. And like you can't really walk to places because first it's really big, and people also are in general more used to driving. So it's like
it's boat season now. So. Oh, and this one's a nice little tour guide.
Yeah.
Have
Oh,
you
it's
ever
so
done?
beautiful.
Have you ever done one of these?
No, actually, I
It's
never.
really
Yeah,
fun.
I should.
It's really nice.
No, I think it would be really nice to do one. I will, but especially on a hot day, a nice day like that, it's so nice.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I was so weird to me because even sometimes like some of my friends like I will want to walk because it's like we're going to a store that is only like maybe 20 minutes away if you walk, and they're like, no, we're going to drive, and I'm like, oh, it's a nice day, let's walk, and they're like, oh, we're just going to drive. So it was weird because they're more used to getting.
That's so
yeah.
funny that you say that now, because thinking about it, like in Paris, if something's like a 20-minute walk or 30-minute walk, but it's a nice day, you're like, oh, I don't mind walking that far. But in the States, it's like when I was thinking about like, oh, 30 minutes, like it's just such a weird thing because in Paris it's so beautiful walking the streets,
Yeah, also,
and there's
yeah.
so many things to see that the time goes by so fast. But in the States, when it's just houses around and stuff, it's more boring to walk.
Yeah,
so
no, I
it's
guess
like,
if you have a nice
it's
scenery,
less
you want
interesting.
to walk more. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
for sure. But that's just so, it's something I miss in the US because I wasn't walking that much, and I miss it because I love walking, and I've always been raised to walk all the time, and like my parents just go on walks all the time, so it's just like something that was a bit weird, but yeah. So it's nice to be back in Paris right now, and it's beautiful right now, so we can walk around if we want to. Another culture shock will be family dinners for me. I don't know for you, but like here in France, like it's really nice, or it's something that's normal and kind of daily life, is like to really eat all together around the table in the evening. But where I was in the US, in PA, a lot of people kind of like just grab food, and they didn't always eat together in a family. Like they will sometimes don't eat the same thing, and someone will like be at the table, someone will be in their room, someone will be in front of the TV. I don't know, but it's something really weird to me.
I think it really depends on the family because some families would be kind of like, let's sit in front of the TV with our little like trays and like watch TV while we eat. And yeah, I've noticed that in France, like you never watch TV like while you're eating dinner with your family. So that, yeah, I guess it would depend on each particular family.
Yeah, for sure. But in general, like what I've seen, like in the US, but when we have a really big family, when people are coming over, like usually like a normal family where I was, at least like almost all the family I've been to, like they don't always eat around the table.
Or even like eat at the same time, or like maybe.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's true.
So that was weird because I was so used to always eat around the table and like with no TV, no phones, and you're just supposed to like talk about
be
your
in
day,
the moment,
and be in the moment. So that was a bit weird. Or even sometimes at huge family dinners, one thing too is like people will like have more like a buffet type of thing, like for the 4th of July, like people will bring food and like people will walk around in the yard. Like we don't really do that either. Like when we do huge family dinners, like for Christmas or anything, we have a big table and everyone sit around and we sit around for like 3-4 hours around the table.
Okay, so a huge culture shock for me was greetings, because in France they love to do la bise, which is where you greet people with the kisses on the cheek. And in the States, like that's seen as being very personal and very like intimate. For us in the States, it's like a hug is a lot less intimate than touching your face. So for me, that was really weird. Like when I'm, handing out my hands, and the girls are like, "What are you doing?" Like that's.
Yeah, that's weird.
It's like total opposites.
For sure. Well, it was the opposite because I did the biz all my life. So for me, it's totally normal to do the biz. I don't think it's too personal. I mean, I do biz to people I don't know sometimes too, so I don't feel like it's weird. And when I was in the US, first I forgot people didn't do the biz, so I wanted to do the biz, and people were like, "What are you doing?" They were so scared. Like they looked at me kind of like a freak because they were like, "Wait, what is she trying to do?"
Why are you getting so close to me?
Exactly. But like at the same time, I felt like hugs because I never really did hugs before, like with my really close friends maybe, but I don't really do hugs to other people because I do the biz. When people did like instead of the biz, like sometimes a half hug, I thought that was even weirder. But I think it's just when you're not used to something, it's weird. So I was like, why are people doing that? I'm just like,
I've heard sometimes that like some French people say like, oh, by hugging, it's like you're touching their back and everything, and that's like a really personal space. Whereas for us, it's like our personal space is our face, So like for us, like that's just something that's so different, which is so strange. And even now, like now I'm okay doing la bise, but for me it's weird to do la bise with my parents, for example. which you might think that that's so weird.
Yeah,
like that's
so
someone
normal
that
for me, so
yeah, like, and for me, I feel like it's so much weirder to do la bise with my parents than it is for me to do la bise with friends and stuff. Like, that's fine, but for me, it's like, oh, that's such a personal space and like more intimate. So to do that with my parents, like,
That's
it's
your
so
parents.
weird. I know, but it's so weird.
So for the last one, we're going to talk about universal healthcare.
And this is definitely going to be the biggest one. Okay, so the thing is, I didn't know that it was universal healthcare in France and that everyone is entitled to healthcare if you're a resident or if you're working here, and you also have la mutuelle. And these are things that I had no idea. So I was a student here, I was working here, and I was entitled to have these benefits, and I had no idea until 3 years later.
That's
and they
insane.
were like, they didn't tell me because they assumed that I should know, because that's just how things are here. And in the States, it's very different.
Yeah, it's really different. Well, in the States, first I was really scared because I heard so many stories, and I was like so scared because I was like, oh, if something happened to me, it's going to be really, really expensive. But luckily, like France, like if you're a French resident but you're going abroad to live or to work, you can still have healthcare from France. So like basically I had a foreigner healthcare, so if something happened to me, like I could just let France know and I will get my money back. But it was just so weird, and even people like in general, like some people like some of my American friends, like when they didn't really have a really good job or something, you know, it wasn't as covered as we are in France, and they were worrying about little things that I never worried about. Like some of my friends were like, oh, I need to go to the dentist, but how much is it going to cost? And I'm like, that's so weird, because like I don't think sometimes about the things because we just really well covered. So like I don't think about going to the doctor and it's going to be expensive because I know it's not going to be expensive. So
Yeah.
just like sometimes the
mean,
way you covered is different, so it's
I think that there's always going to be something out of pocket, like whether or not, you know, 60% is paid for, or like you have a good one and maybe it's 70%, like you're always going to have something that you have to pay. Whereas here you'll get a lot of things reimbursed. So that's something that's like was a huge, beautiful surprise.
yeah, I guess
Like
so.
that's like probably the biggest culture shock, and in the best way possible.
I hope you guys enjoyed this video and that you learned some new things. Let me know in the comments what you thought, if there are other culture shock maybe that we didn't talk about and that you personally experienced. I think it's always fun to talk about and see, because sometimes we don't realize, especially when it's our own country, that some people can have culture shock with that kind of stuff. So let us know in the comments. And also don't forget, we made another video on Jonah's channel
about the things that we miss most about the States, because it's been long enough that we've been away to really miss some really important things. So go check that out on my channel. The link will be down below. Also, I'm gonna be commenting on this video on your channel to like in the comments to like really play along and chat with people. So let's meet in the comments below.
And that works, yeah. And yeah, let us know if you enjoy it, and we will see you next time. À la prochaine! Bye!
Ciao, ciao for now.
Let's wait a minute.
It's like technical difficulties, loud boat behind us.